Welcome back to Secrets of STEMSEL Club in Sims 4. As you have seen in the last episode, a part of Mr. Jarrell's plan was to use the runlinc technology to protect the treasure of Mr. Francisco's while catching the thief. Mr. Champagne, a runlinc expert, joined Miss Scalia at the STEMSEL Club in Newcrest College, teaching students using runlinc. Within a few days, Mr. Jarrell's plan is finalized based on the runlinc project one-line IoT camera streaming to your web page. After all preparations were made, Mr. Jarrell called Mr. Francisco to set his plan into motion. As part of his plan, Mr. Francisco and his wife need to pretend that they will leave the house for a business trip for a few days. Yet, instead of driving to the airport, they will meet with Mr. Jarrell in a meeting room at the school. Before they leave the house, Mr. Jarrell told Mr. Francisco someone sent from the school will go to their place and leave a device outside the security vault. On their way to see Mr. Jarrell, Mr. Francisco explained to his wife about how he contacted Mr. Jarrell for help after the incident of the burglary. Upon their arrival, Mr. Jarrell and Mrs. Galea escorted Mr. and Mrs. Francisco into the meeting room at Newcrest College. Mr. Jarrell looked confident and calm and reassured Mr. and Mrs. Francisco that they might find some clues to solving the mysterious event. Soon, Mr. Champagne also joined them in the meeting room. He brought with him a laptop and connected his laptop to the big screen so that people in the meeting room could see what was shown on his laptop. When they looked at the screen, Mr. and Mrs. Francisco were surprised to see the outside of the security vault at home. Mr. Francisco turned to Mr. Jarrell and wanted to ask questions. Mr. Jarrell stopped him as, at this moment, the stillness was broken and someone walked into the scene. Everyone in the room held their breath. The person appeared in the camera, stopped in front of the security vault, took out a control and pointed it towards the door. The door of the security vault opened. Will this person walk into the vault and attempt to steal the treasure kept inside? To everyone's surprise, he did not enter the vault. Instead, he walked away while leaving the door of the security vault widely open. No one broke the silence of the meeting room long after the image vanished from the screen. Mr. Champagne brought everyone's attention to the screen while he cut the screen to another camera. This time, shown on the screen, is the same figure walking away from the back of the house. "It's him!" Mr. Francisco uttered a muffled shout with his right hand half covering his mouth. Everyone looked at Mr. Francisco with an expression asking, "Who is he?" Before revealing any information of the person who broke into his house, Mr. Francisco first turned to Mr. Jarrell and asked, "How did you install this in such a short time without any help from the security company?" Mr. Jarrell introduced Mr. Champagne to Mr. and Mrs. Francisco. They recognized that Mr. Champagne is the person who went to their house and left a device out of the security vault. Mr. Jarrell told them that, with the help of Mr. Champagne, his students learned to set up the cameras to live stream the incident using runlinc technology. The device that Mr. Champagne installed outside the security vault is just a mobile phone. The mobile phone was used as a camera to live stream the data from the camera to the runlinc page, and to show the video on the camera live to the laptop. Another mobile phone was also installed at the back of the house to catch the image of the person exiting. Mr. Champagne explained to Mr. and Mrs. Francisco that runlinc is a web page inside a Wi-Fi chip. The programming is done in the browser and sent to the chip over Wi-Fi. The runlinc web page inside the Wi-Fi chip will command the microchip to do sensing, control, data logging, Internet of Things, also known as IoT. It can predict and command. This is the online project of IoT camera streaming to your web page, which creates vision with one line of code. It connects a mobile phone IP webcam to the web page that is created on the runlinc IDE on a laptop. Streaming is the ideal method of transmitting and/or receiving data continuously over a network. Streaming is used in many applications, with the most notable being multimedia. This is due to multimedia requiring a large amount of data for a computer to play the media. Streaming breaks the files into small chunks which are downloaded, viewed, and then deleted once they are not needed anymore. This speeds up the viewing as the start of the media can be viewed while later portions are still being downloaded. This can have implications for devices with small memory. Video files can often have megabytes of data for a few seconds of recording. Devices such as runlinc on STEMSEL with only a small amount of flash memory, streaming is necessary. Cameras can be used remotely by streaming data to a host. The project of IoT camera streaming to your web page utilizes this application to turn a camera into a remote camera. Camera streaming has security and safety applications such as checking your home with a sensor that has sensed someone in your house when you are not there, and with digital processing. It has applications in AI and robotics like image recognition. Mr. Francisco was deeply impressed by how useful the runlinc technology can be and how even primary and secondary students can learn to use the runlinc technology to solve a real-world problem such as his. Still, with some sense of shock, Mr. Francisco told the others about the person who appeared in the cameras. To know who the person is, please continue to the next episode. Thank you for watching this series of Secrets of STEMSEL Club in Sims 4.